Hi, I'm Dr. Tony Nettleman, Professional Land Surveyor and Licensed Attorney. Thank you for joining me. In the first case study video, I'd like to introduce you to probably the most common question I'm asked by attorneys. Was a professional land surveyor negligent or not? Typically, this happens when something goes wrong. A house is built too close to the setback line. A professional surveyor, during her research, does not locate an important easement, like a pipe, or features during a boundary survey or a typical other kind of survey are mislocated, and the survey provided to the client is possibly different from its true location. You know, this is really scary stuff, and it kind of hurts because there are real people, property owners, who are typically severely affected by mistakes or other issues, either in surveying, engineering, or related professions. So I take these kind of cases very seriously. And I also take them quite seriously because having to judge a fellow land surveyor is difficult. You want to be friends, you want to get along. But sometimes surveys are not conducted properly, and only a learned fellow professional can judge whether that happened or not. Let me introduce you to my first case study. So I was contacted by an attorney, and they told me a quick story. Someone purchased a residential lot in a neighborhood subdivision, empty lot, and the plan was to build about a 2,500 square foot house. Not too big, not too small. So they hired a surveyor. This lady did a boundary survey of the property, very simple lot, rectangle. And then she provided the survey to the client, and the client used that kind of combination boundary topographic survey to give to his builder and architect. They designed the house, and they pulled a bulldozer onto the property. They stuck the bulldozer in the first scoop, a giant pipe was hit by the bulldozer scoop. Wow! They've been planning this house for over a year, and no one had any idea there was like a 20-foot pipe running right through the middle of this lot. Now, why was the lot the only vacant lot in the entire subdivision? I have no idea, but I just assumed it was for investment purposes, and that makes sense. So the question was, was the surveyor negligent when she failed to locate the easement and the pipe during her boundary survey? It's a great question, and it's a question I could not answer for them immediately. The first thing I do when I'm contacted by an attorney or a property owner is research. And I do some basic research even before getting the contract inked as their expert witness. Because how horrible is it to pay an expert witness $5,000 or $10,000 retainer, and then the expert witness says, "I'm sorry, I can't help you with this job." So I do a basic review before ever taking on a client. And what I do is just some online research, and here, first of all, I read the pleadings, so the complaint, the answer, the reply, and this pleadings provides context. What does the plaintiff say? What does the defendant reply with? And in this case, there was actually an expert opinion that the defendant land surveyor had authored. And I got this from the attorney who called me, obviously the attorney working for the property owners. I remember reading that expert opinion and my blood boiled, because it felt like that expert opinion went against everything, all the principles I knew of boundary surveying. The expert opinion said that land surveyors are not expected to do any research during their boundary survey. Wow! Pick up a textbook like Brown's or Clark, and you realize the first thing that happens for any boundary survey is a researching the record, the deeds, the easements, the other prior surveys, possibly state land patents or stuff like that. Because without doing your record research in a boundary survey, you'll never be able to find the true boundary of the property. So that expert opinion raised a serious red flag. So once I read that and did a little research, I knew I could help this client. Next, the third thing I do, and this is really the central piece of an expert opinion, is I realized years ago that my opinion doesn't really matter. All I'm doing is finding and producing the text, like the journal articles, the textbooks, the articles of learned surveyors. These are the experts in the field. So if you want to get an expert in boundary surveying, you go to Clark, to Brown, to Robillard, and to, in Texas at least, Ken Gold, who's a very well-known Texas legal author. So you go to these texts and you read, what do these experts tell you about doing boundary surveys? And then you compare what the experts say, what is the standard of practice, especially in court cases in the state or jurisdiction you're in, and you compare that to what the surveyor did in this case. And I compared the standards of boundary surveying to what the surveyor did in this case, and it was very evident. This poor surveyor just did not conduct even the most basic of research. And I found this out because I did the field work. When I get a case and I compare the experts to the individual surveyor, the next thing I do is I pretend like I was hired by the property owner. I'm going to use what I know about surveying, and I'm going to do an independent survey for these owners and totally put out of my mind the survey I was provided or the surveys provided by the clients. So what did I do? Went up to the county where this property is located, flew up there for the day, and I went to the county records and I typed in the property address of this property. Bam! First document, an easement recording a 20-foot pipe from 1953. Wow. Second document, conveyance which cites the pipe. Third conveyance cites the pipe. The only conveyance that did not cite the pipe was the last conveyance. Why is that? I have no idea. But as a surveyor, you really got to go back prior to the latest document just to make sure. It took me about 90 seconds to find this easement. Okay, well maybe the surveyor wasn't here at the county. Maybe she did her research online. Logged in to the county online records, typed in the address, found the easement. Typed in the lot and block number of the property, found the easement. Typed in the grantor, grantee, found the easement. This is probably the easiest record research I've ever done in my career. It was really nice GIS system. And finally, I said maybe this surveyor's old school. They like to go and research the physical records. So I went over to the courthouse, which I was already there. I walked into their physical records, their grantor, grantee indexes. I went back in title, a few owners. I found the easement cited in every document except the last one by grantor, grantee search. So at this point, I was certain. This surveyor either totally failed to do their research or I don't know what else happened. And that's what I had to say. I went back, I authored an expert report which cited my primary sources, quote by quote, about doing your research. I compared the standard sources, cases, and textbooks to the conduct of the surveyor in this case, And during that comparison, I explained how simple, how it only took me 90 seconds to find that document. And after I wrote that report, we settled. After I wrote that report, less than a month later, the property owners settled with the surveyor, and the surveyor and the title company ended up purchasing the lot from the owner, and they were made whole. And those are the kind of results I love to see.